Hello and welcome to Southwestern College's training in our new Human Resources Transaction, HRT, ServiceNow system. This short video is designed to familiarize you with the new process. Today we'll examine what it means to use a smart system rather than a paper-based one. We'll look at the various workflows built into the HRT system and then dive in and provide a detailed demonstration of the system itself from start to finish of a request. This includes how you check the progress of your request. Finally, we touch on what to do in case of errors or rejection. Before we start with a detailed presentation, it would help to step back and take a look at this new smart system. In a paper-based system, a single document often has to perform multiple duties and fulfill multiple purposes. This leads to forms that contain irrelevant information and can be confusing to the user. A smart form modifies itself based on the inputs users make on it. Only the necessary information is requested, and the smart system sends the form off only to those who need to approve or act on it. Smart forms in a smart process reduce errors and provide greater accountability with less effort. Smart forms change based on your inputs, so you're only filling out the data you need to provide. For instance, by choosing yes for this question regarding district employment, the smart form automatically adds 2 new relevant fields to the screen. ServiceNow allows us to build a smart process by embedding the workflow into the system. Once you have selected the request you wish to make, the correct form is provided to you. When you fill the form out and submit it, your request will be routed to the correct supervisors in the proper order to streamline the request. There are 3 basic roles in these workflows. Requesters, who initiate the formal request by entering the necessary data on the correct form and submit it to the system. 1 or more approvers, who authorize the request and validate the data on the form. And the fulfillers, who actually complete the requested action. To enter the HRT system, you must go into My SWC Single Sign-On site. You enter the site as you normally do from the SWC College site, or you can use the direct URL of my.swccd.edu. Log in as you normally do, and on the Single Sign-On landing page, click on Campus Apps, and then on ServiceNow. On the ServiceNow homepage, you will see any campus or personal alerts in the notification bar just below the home image. Below that, you will see the options available to you in the system. Scroll to the bottom of the page and choose Human Resources Transactions on the Human Resources tile. This opens the 6 tiles in the HRT area. Each tile represents a different set of possible transactions and shows a list of requested actions under that tile. Non-academic temporary hires includes substitute workers, tutors, and professional experts. These forms will follow the Flowchart A process given in the handout. Academic temporary hires come next, including both instructional and non-instructional positions. Forms from this tile have the simplest process as shown in Flowchart B. Temporary change in service covers actions such as interim appointments and acting assignments. The workflow process for this tile is shown in Flowchart C. The extra pay or assignments tile is associated with 2 different process flows depending on the form chosen. These processes are shown in Flowchart D. This tile is used for both academic and classified situations. Changes in service is the tile with the most associated processes, which are given in Flowchart E. This tile is used when any key component of a position changes, such as funding source or months of service. The final tile, recruitment, has 3 process flows as shown in Flowchart F. Use this to create or eliminate a position. We will use this tile for our demonstration by adding a new position with a new classification. We start by clicking on the proper tile, Recruitment. This opens up the smart form. We always want to work from top to bottom of the form so it can adjust to our inputs properly. We need to select our transaction type. Here we select New Position, New Classification. The form begins to build immediately. Fill out the form using the tools provided. It is best to use the date pickers for dates. Fields starting with an asterisk are mandatory. In this case, the end date is optional, but we do need to fill in the position title as this is a mandatory field. Fields such as department help the form to properly route the request along the workflow. The selection of a supervisor also affects the routing. The supervisor doesn't have to be in the indicated department. Use the pull-down to make your selection. Many of the fields have specific formatting required for their entries. Whenever below an entry field, pay close attention to it. Always use the pull-downs when provided. Pay close attention to the examples shown. This is an easy place to make mistakes that will cause your request to error when you try to submit it. For budgets, enter only the digits of the account and the system will format them correctly. But it will not validate your budget number. You need to check that yourself. If you have more than one funding source, use the plus sign to add another or the remove button to take one away. The distribution percentages must sum to 100% or your request will not be submitted. Project-funded budget items also need the name of the funding source. It is best practice to provide complete descriptions or rationales when submitting requests such as these. Basic rationale types are provided, such as accreditation and compliance. Select the relevant rationales and provide the details in the text boxes that appear. Most text boxes have automatic spell check, which does help with credibility. When submitting the request, the system will validate the form and refuse to accept your request if there are any errors. You will get a tone and a pop-up if any errors are found. Fields with errors are indicated by red asterisks. In this case, the form errored because there were too few digits in one of the budget numbers. So we correct the error and resubmit. Success! The submitted HRT form is shown on the requester's order preview. All of the data entered on the smart form is now in the system and available for review. At the bottom of the inputted data is a real-time status table and a text box to add people to the watch list. At any time, a requester can re-enter ServiceNow and click on the HRT tile to check out. The request appears on the requester's HRT page under Active HR Transactions. Clicking on the link will open the request, allowing one to check on the status by opening the Order Preview page. The status listing is based on the associated workflow. The green check mark indicates the current location of the request. Emails with links to the request are sent to each person on the workflow in order. The link brings up their ServiceNow homepage with a notification bar indicating a pending approval. Clicking on that will open the My Approval page. The approver can simply click on the blue approval button or click on either the HRT title or the options link to see the request itself. The title link works best in providing an easy-to-review copy of the request and a quick means of approval. Any rejection of a request requires explanatory comments. Rejected requesters will receive status emails with links to the request. The requester should review the comments and, if possible, make changes to the request and resubmit. Once approved, the request status is updated and the next approver in the workflow will automatically receive an email with the link. This process continues down the workflow until HR has it for action. HR fulfillers have a different interface and can take many actions on the request from this page. They can assign the request to a particular employee, select the governing board meeting to present the request for approval, the dates are already in the system, use built-in document templates to create hard copy versions of the requests. All the data entered into the request, plus the workflow approvals, have all been captured and placed in the appropriate locations on this page. Tabs indicate the location of specific types of data like employee, position, and budget information, individual and group approvals, and rationales. Comments can be made into the record either as work notes or shared with the requester as a means of updating the request. There is a progress bar for the request along the top of the page with the current status indicated. The method for approving a request is also different for HR fulfillers than it was for approvers. Under Human Resources Transactions, HRT Requests, the fulfiller needs to click on the request to open it for editing. Scrolling down to Group Approvals, click on the Requested status for HR to open an approval screen. In this screen, the fulfiller can change the approval status, enter in a short description for the requests, making it easier to find in lists, add more background information, and assign a priority. Update refreshes the request status. Work in progress is the last active status before a request is completed and closed. It's good practice to record work notes throughout the processing. These are automatically signed and timestamped. Once a closing comment is made and the work completed, the request can be closed as simply as clicking on the Close button. The requester can see that the request has been completed. The process is done, clean and efficient, with good record keeping. Thank you for your time and attention during this presentation. Now you need to try the new system out yourself. Best of luck with the new ServiceNow HRT.